Welcome to heCast, the official podcast of HeChangedIt. As always, I am Mike Chisholm. As always, I am so excited to talk to people, to have conversations around the space of mental wellness, men's mental health, the stories. I love when we have conversations with people who have stories, things that they have learned in life, things that they've accomplished. And not only that, success leaves clues. They are willing to take some of the things that they have learned in those stories and share them with others. That is what HeChangedIt is all about. Today's guest is one that I'm very, very excited about because it's somebody who has been somebody I admire professionally for a long, long time. I'm born and raised in the city that we're doing this broadcast in. I'm born and raised in Kelowna, British Columbia. And Paul Lauzon has been a pillar of our business community for a very, very long time in the field that I feed my family with. And it's really exciting to have him here. I could ask him questions about our industry for forever. And there probably wouldn't be a limit to the answers. We could probably go on and on and on, but that's not what today is about. After years of building a business in a financial service, building a big business in financial service, Paul has released an album, a folk rock album, and it's very exciting, and it almost feels like the culmination of a work. He has a life's work, I should say, a life's journey. Journey being one of the tracks on the album, actually. And I'm very, very excited to have him here. So please, without further ado, welcome our guest, Paul Lauzon. Paul, welcome to heCast.
Yeah, thank you. A pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm pleased to have you, man. I'm really, really pleased to have you. Okay, so were you born in Kelowna?
No, actually, I was born in Windsor, Ontario.
Okay, so. Windsor. My parents are Ontario as well. Oh. What made you make the jump? They came in, I think it was 1967, my parents came here. What year did you make the jump from?
Actually, that's pretty good. We came out on a holiday, my parents and I, in 1967, and I didn't have a choice. I was knee-high to a grasshopper, so to speak, and grade 8. And so they came out for a holiday, and then they said, oh, well, we're going out there 2 years later. Boom, there we are. We landed in Surrey and then Langley and grew up and did some business stuff there. Been in business since I was 15 years old, actually. And,
since you were 15?
Yeah.
What was your first business?
Well, actually, it was kind of funny. We took over a kind of an egg farm or a chicken farm, and I went and peddled eggs and did construction and went to school and did all that kind of stuff. Learned some interesting stuff and how to run a business and all that kind of stuff and everything else. But even then, I had way back when I had roots in poetry and the arts kind of thing, and so it was an anomaly in many respects. So they always said people, when you guys go over those mountains, make sure that when you lose all your furniture and everything else, you don't lose yourselves either. So, yeah, that was something. The mountain we had in Ontario was the Hamilton Mountain, which was a garbage dump, and we never saw mountains until we came out to British Columbia and loved it. And there you are.
My mom is one of 12. And so my youth was always like every week, and we had a 4-bedroom house that we grew up in. And so there was a spare room. And my entire youth was company from Ontario coming out here and spending a week and then going back. And it was funny because certain ones would come out in the summertime and certain ones would come out in the wintertime. And the ones who come out in the wintertime, they were used to going skiing at Collingwood, Blue Ridge Mountain or Blue Mountain or something like that over in Collingwood. And they would see Big White for the first time. And a bunch of them have moved out here. A bunch of them since then have moved. The topography and what we get to have surrounding us is just is wonderful. And the album encapsulates that. The song about the cabin song is one that you can tell that the beauty of British Columbia has entered your soul and it stayed there, and you have written songs about it to even
actually
express
that one
yourself
is kind of an interesting one because you go from one end of the country to the other, and where cabin song came out of it was actually in Georgian Bay. Actually,
it was Georgian Bay.
Georgian Bay, and so I've been very, very involved in charity and philanthropy. Multi-millions of dollars that I've been responsible for. Tens of millions of dollars in aid, so we're having one part of the executive of an organization called Profitable Giving Canada, which is a sort of an SRO, self-regulatory organization in that sector. And we're having a meeting at one of the fellows' cabins on Georgian Bay. And so you kind of see the Georgian Bay would kind of narrow, and he had his cabin overlooking, and I'd see these boats going out and then coming back, and I just happened to be sitting on this porch and working with my guitar I brought along. I have a travel guitar, and then I just created the song. And when songs come to me, it's like within half an hour I got them, boom, done.
Wow.
And but this, I just felt the breeze, the leaves, and it was so really amazing, and watching the guys, swimming, and we would go up and get fish and chips and all that, and just cruise the Georgian Bay. So that's how that came along, that song. And so it was kind of funny, come from Ontario, go out to BC, and then, we're writing a song going back, from Ontario, so that's a nice playful song. We'll be getting that out, trying to get that out, and it's out on the album, but summertime would be nice if people could hear it, in the summer. It's such a great summer song.
It also just shows what music, the way music can, you can picture certain things. I pictured you in the shoe swap. That's where I pictured it. And it's music is such a beautiful, beautiful art and exercise, and poetry is as well. That's been something that's been part of your life for a long time. And again, when you were talking a little bit about what's the organization again that you just
Profitable
mentioned?
Giving
Profitable Giving Canada. I could hear the Paul that I would see at financial seminars every once in a while. That I would see like very measured, clearly confident when it comes to business, when it comes to big business, which is a gift. It's a gift. A lot of people have a hard time zooming out to the point of being able to scale some of these things. And listening to you there, and then flipping it a little bit and listening to the artist Paul coming out, which I had no idea existed. Because when you present, you're very buttoned up and professional and first rate. But then there's this artist part of you. Was that always there? Was that there when you were a kid?
Even when I was a kid, I remember writing a poem. My dad was, we were in Toronto when we were doing this concrete wall. I remember the winds. I think this is cold. You ought to be back there, and I was holding this lamp, and I can't remember. I must have been 10 years old, 11 years old, and I was just thinking, here I'm standing with the lamp, and I just had this poetic, kind of license that, and and I kind of wrote that down. I wish I could have kept a lot of that stuff, but anyway, but it just, it's there. It just keeps coming. It's like when you're talking about the shushwab, I'm thinking as you're talking about, I'm like, shushwab, I think, well, I could do a song, maybe, shushwab, and that kind of stuff. But I'm riding in a boat in the shushwab, it's just, that's how you just kind of,
your mind works that way.
Yeah, just kind of, goes that way, and
makes meetings a little more entertaining. Even if it's only got to stay in your head, right?
Yeah.
You get little melodies that show up.
Exactly, so it's just, and speaking, I mean, and I've accomplishments that I could go on forever.
I know
some of the stuff, even on, like we were talking about, the financial. I mean, I had the privilege.
And you're being humble when you say that. I want to be very clear. You're being humble when you say that. Like, you're very well decorated when it comes to that world. And there are a lot of people, when they look for fulfillment, they think that's the goal. But for a guy like you, I'm getting the sense, especially if you listen to the album, no, that's not the goal. That's just a part of your life.
It's trying to, I've always wanted to reach my full potential, whatever that is. It's always reaching, and I think people, that's the sadness of our society. I think, that's why I'm writing the stuff that I write, the stories, there's meaningful, we're touching what is really our Canadian values, what we grew up with, but also trying to empower people and encourage people to reach, for that full potential. One of the highlights of my life was doing a financial plan for the Dominican government on a housing thing, and it was a blank piece of paper, and the vice president, and he was just saying, okay, you have a few months. I did it in the course of 5 hours. I wrote a plan on blank paper, and it was just absolutely amazing. So It's just some of the stuff that you can get involved in. Unfortunately, it didn't go very far. That's just the way things are. And so we have disappointments in life. We have successes in life. We got to celebrate the wins and, kind of let go of, perhaps a lot. So I look at failures sometimes as just lessons on that road of success. And we're just one beat away. How many people just kind of throw in the towel and then just one more, there it is, and that's the whole idea that, hope, like these are songs of hope, love, family, and life's journey. And so here in this introductory album, this aspect, and the journey continues in the second album, like the messages that are here are so rich. And I have people, they're always, Paul, you wouldn't believe you've changed my life. The song Don't Look Back is amazing. It's a song about hope.
It's my favorite song on the album. You just nailed it. You just pulled it out. We said we were going to say, we didn't go in the pre-interview saying what's your favorite song. I said I'll let you know during it. You nailed it right off the hop.
It's about how many people are holding on to the baggage of the past. It's about letting go of the past, focusing on where you are today, and creating your own tomorrow, creating your own future.
The line is, ahead is whatever we want it to be.
Exactly.
And I wanted to ask you about that line. Because, and if you don't mind me asking, you just released your first album, second one's on the way. Okay, so obviously you got melodies that are popping in all the time, even as we're doing a podcast here. How old a guy are you right now?
Well, I just turned 72.
72 years old.
Yeah, but I feel like 32.
And certainly you've got the spirit of it. And now the album is called It's About Life. And really at the end of the day, that is I don't know if there's a more perfect title for that album, because you kind of go through everything. You started going through a list. This is the list I wrote down. Family, creation, marriage, loss, faith, and life. Those are the words that kind of came out after I listened to the album.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to talk about all of them, because I think that when people who know who you are think about Paul Lauzon, they don't necessarily think about any of those things. They think about the accomplishments. They think about the, what you've done in life. Yeah. And so many guys out there. And one thing we've talked about in this show a lot is purpose, and how so many guys, all the things that you have done and you've accomplished, that's the pin they put on. That's the identity that they claim to have. And many times those identities get slammed into a wall, because when that's not who we really are. What we do isn't really who we are.
At the end of the day, what do they really amount to? I think that you need to have goalposts as you go along, and goalposts of accomplishments and everything else. But it's what about the legacy that that we leave behind? We're on a journey. The journey of life starts at birth, ends at death, and all in between is what we create and leave. And that's the legacy. That's what we should be looking at. In one of the in the second album, I just wrote a song. It's called "Smell the Roses." The idea is taking time just to smell the roses. We're running and running and running so hard, and we forget about our fellow man. The idea about love is not only romantic love and marriage and family, but what about our fellow man? It really bothers me seeing the amount of homeless that we have and all that kind of stuff. We're running so hard and so fast in the society and trying to meet all these little things that we're forgetting about what's really important in life.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of values is trying to bring this back and get people to focus on the reality of life, the purpose of life, really, and because at the end of the day, we go out the same way we come in.
Right.
And it's what we do in between that makes the difference.
Absolutely.
How are we making the difference in society? Are we making the world we live in a better place for us having been here on this journey? If we have that kind of a question. And so, like you say, even in it's about life. Yeah, we're touching them on all those touch points. Mother and child, it was amazing. That's a tribute to motherhood. It's like our society seems to be sort of, where's the family being really promoted, and the idea of family love and so on and so forth. It starts at home, starts with mothers. And that song is about, where it came, I saw two, I was driving on the way to work at the office, and I saw two. It was so surreal. I had mother here with I think it was on Bernard and whatever, and they're going across the street, and then there's this other woman with a mother with a child in a buggy. It was just like the strollers, and they were just kind of, and it was like, this is amazing. It's like, the most beautiful sight I've ever seen, is this mothers and the children, and and it's just like, man, I gotta, celebrate, the aspect of motherhood and family.
Yep.
The journey of life is about the journey. It talks about, singles coming together and having a family, and the journey of love, which is, familial love.
It's funny, you talk about journey, and one of the questions I was going to ask, and then I decided not to ask it. Now here it is coming up anyway. I was going to ask originally about the order of the songs, because it's your first album. You don't really know what you're doing, but you're going for it anyway, and taking a chance and putting it out there, which is great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I think it's a secret to life, by the way.
Yeah.
Just try it, see what happens, and have no outcome, right? And see what happens, and watch it bloom. And it has bloomed for you. There's another album coming and whatnot, but it's your first.
Yeah.
So how do you choose the order of the songs? And then I listened to the album, and it's like, oh, those songs were put in the perfect order from the first It's About Life to Journey at the end. And then all the things in the middle, the important thing, it was meticulously put together.
Yeah.
Oh man, so the reflection that you're talking about here, this reflection that you're sharing so with vulnerability and poise, did you always have it, or is it something that you've learned in life? Like, okay, 72, first album comes out. There's a lot of reflection there. Are these lessons that you learned along the way? Were you always this reflective?
Yeah, I think life experiences. I've always been reflective. I started teaching myself guitar when I was 18, and was at UBC. There was only one UBC by that time, and down in English Bay, and so I was helping a student out, and I was there, and I didn't have much of it. I bought an old guitar, at an auction when I was in my teens, and I had to put a big bolt through it to keep it together, So I thought, hey, it was time to get a better one, right? It's just amazing. And so he had this really interesting electric guitar and amp, and he needed some cash and everything else. So I bought the amp and the guitar for $200, and that doesn't sound much, but back then that was a lot.
That's a lot of money,
And so, that's
especially for a guitar with a bolt in it.
Exactly. But this wasn't the bolt. This was, and I still have it. You can see that on the website. It's called the Guillotone, LG 130T. And as far as I know, they only made 400 of them when I was doing the research. And it has so many different tones. It has 14 different tone settings just on the guitar alone.
Wow.
And so I started learning with that. My first real guitar, and then I started kind of playing some church stuff, just learning in church groups, and learning self-taught. But then I got in financial services, and I have family, got married, and I put the guitar down. And for 40 years, doing that. And then one day I'm down there and I open up my case, the guitar case, and it's just like the day I put it in there. It's like mint condition. Plays like crazy, and so I'm thinking, what time I picked this up and started doing it, and here at 65, I just started writing the songs, and boom, 24 of them, and they just keep pouring out, so now I'm, kind of getting that serious. But there's in financial counseling and financial strategies, and I'm way beyond the idea of planning. I'm into strategies and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But you see,
you're in more of an orchestration phase.
Yeah, and you're dealing with families, you're dealing with businesses, you're dealing with individuals, from the younger ages to the older ages, and and you get to see, you're dealing with estates, and so you deal with both ends, of life, and so there's all of that comes.
It's a lot of emotion that comes with that.
Oh, it's just tremendous, and some of that comes out, even like soulmate, for example. I was going to ask permission if we could talk about soulmate. Yeah,
very personal song.
Yeah, and so my first wife, we were married for 48 years, and she developed Parkinson's. I spent 13 years providing long-term care at home, was an expensive journey. And but I wrote the song, and she heard it. Well, she was in that system, and but I basically wrote it about us, and she talked about soulmate, the idea of meeting your soulmate, and you're so lucky you can find that mate, that person, and we get that in Journey a little bit. But soulmate was this whole aspect of, and we were married young, 23, and really don't know a lot about anything. You're kind of learning as you go,
right?
And then
and
then it's just the idea of it's this person that actually finally figures it out, but it's too late. It's the loss of us. Well, no, it could be anybody that loses any spouse. The song is meant to be more generic, in that regard. I wrote a song in my next album about the loss of a son or a loss of a child. So anybody that's lost a child, with daughters, sons, accidents, sicknesses, or whatever. I lost a son with regards to a sickness, type of thing. So it's meant to be, that's what's called Tribute to Ben, and but it's meant to be tribute, like Eric Clapton did.
Tears in Heaven.
Tears to Heaven,
Tears in Heaven,
type of thing, and it's just meant to help people kind of focus and grasp and appreciate, So, are we appreciating the journey that we're on? While we can, I mean, yes, we need to work, we need to, and what about our other values? I mean, the values I grew up with, I mean, I remember back in Toronto, and those days still, but you could leave your house unlocked.
Yeah.
And I mean, you wouldn't even dare think about that. You could leave your cars unlocked. You wouldn't even dare think about, but, what has happened to, I call it the code, what's happened about integrity, about honesty? These are the values that we're talking about, and that's what roots music is about. I was searching for, is it soft rock? Is it easy listening? And then
no, you're down a folk. You're down a folk. Folk path.
It's
really
not quite folk, but
no, you're right. But
it's sort of in that area. But there is an actual genre called roots music, and it was
roots. Yes, roots. Folk and roots to me are many times are interchangeable. But yes, roots is a good way of putting it.
And a great musician that I came to know, B. Grant, he's out of Vancouver, and he played with played with Sting and all that. He used to in his younger days, and he was listening. He said, "Man, I love this stuff." He says it's roots music. I said, really? I was like, "Thank you. You told me what the genre of," because it's clumsy. It's not, And people say, "Well, maybe it's gospel." No, it's not gospel.
No, it's definitely not gospel.
It's
more Mumford and Sons than it is Hillsong.
Yeah,
no, it's definitely more.
It's like that's like saying blues is.
No.
I mean, it comes from roots, I guess. If you go and look into history, is amazing when you look into the history. But this is just trying to get us to, appreciate family and honesty and integrity. We get a little bit more. The next album I'm going to call Renaissance is the idea of Renaissance. Actually, if you look at it and look it up, it means rebirth. And that type of thing. It gets a little bit more introspective, but
can I ask you a question about something that you said? We're going far past it, so I just want to come back to it real quick.
I wander a lot.
No, and I do too. And so I just want to wander back for a second.
At my age, wandering isn't a good thing. He's wandering again.
When you talk about some of these values that we have kind of lost sight of, I think when people hear that, they automatically put up a wall. Yep. I think they put up a wall. I think it has to do with encroaching on freedoms or judgment or some of these different things. But the things that you just talked about, some of these things, honesty, family, some of these things, they all have their beautiful little dopamine hits. It's not that they don't, they come with value to your life right now. They come with value to how you're going to interact with others. If you're honest and loving and all that sort of stuff to other people, guess what? You're going to get that back. But also, if you have a choice in front of you and there's the easy way or the hard way, or let's go even another way, there's the honest way and there's the dishonest way, right?
Or is it the right way and the wrong way?
Or if it's the right and the wrong, whatever that is. Yeah. If you choose the right, there are benefits that show up right here and now. Yeah. And I mean, you may not see them like immediate results or anything like that, but it does feel right with your brain. It does actually have, making the right choice and doing the right thing comes with benefits. And I don't know why that isn't said more. I don't understand that. Why that's not a, like when you talk about the love of family, I don't know if there's anything more powerful.
No, and that's really the basis of our society.
Yes.
Even that's echoed out in the song, that tribute to motherhood and Mother and Child.
Mother and Child, yeah.
The message to humanity, right? And that's that's where those basic values that we were brought up with, and it's sad. I mean, we've had such a fractured society and fractured relationships, and and we've lost some of that. So the idea is, the songs, I mean, these are great songs. It's wholesome music for wholesome people.
Very much so.
You don't have to be embarrassed playing that in front of your family, in front of your kids, know. And the messages in the stories are there to convey, and you say, well, what is right? Well, we have Magna Carta, and what is the foundations of the Magna Carta and all that, and those are the foundations of freedom. We're not talking about freedom. We're talking about enhancing freedom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, if you can turn around and not feel, we have a compass. The compass is called the conscience, I guess. It's like, oh, I just stiffed this person in a business deal. I don't stiff anybody in business.
No.
Not me. Okay. We're just talking, I had my code, right? But I've always had a code of honesty ever since I was really small, and that was very, very important to me all the way along. Yeah. But if you've done something, you've taken advantage of somebody, and some people don't. It doesn't bother them.
Yeah, it's just business.
Yeah.
Oh, that term just drives me up the wall.
But I think it does eventually come back. They say what goes around comes around, right? Well, how about brotherly love? How about integrity? And I built a great business and a reputation. I have a phenomenal reputation.
Yep.
Based because of that.
Yep.
And so that's where the freedom is. The freedom of don't have to look over my shoulder, or the freedom I can, go out and build and be prosperous and be, leading a fruitful and fulfilling life.
Yeah.
Because what is my legacy? What is my legacy that I'm leaving behind? Do I want a legacy like Al Capone? Can you imagine his legacy?
Sure.
Right. Yeah. That's some legacy. I don't want it, but or you can have a legacy like Mahatma Gandhi, or a Mother Teresa, for example, and when we look at, I kind of find it amazing, like we talk about mental illnesses and so on and so forth.
Yes.
What is really the cause of, people not being able to let go of okay, we've had traumas,
and you've had adversity as well. Like, not to interrupt, I just want to point that in there. It's not that you have lived a charmed life that hasn't seen adversity. In fact, two of the things you've talked about here so far are many people's worst nightmares.
Yeah.
And yet here you are talking about legacy, talking about these things.
But you got to be able to let go and say, okay, the past is the past. What can I learn from that? But you got to let it go. You have to let it go so that you can focus on where you are today. Here I am.
Yes.
I was there, but here I am.
Yes.
And from here, I can build that future. I can build the future that I want. I can always change. I could be the worst of the worst and still sit here and then say, I've really not been that great socially or whatever, but from now on, I am now going in a different direction. I am now taking charge of myself and focusing on my tomorrow.
So you just built the bridge. See, a lot of people also define themselves by that past part, by that past event, who they were in the past, etc. And they many times define themselves and they say, "Oh, that's who I am." And you just showing the bridge. Again, another line from the song "Don't Look Back." Opportunity knocks only when we have let go.
There you go.
And for some, letting go, it's easier than they think.
Yeah.
It's a decision.
It is.
It can literally be as easy as a decision to just say, I'm going to let this go.
But in an element, to do that, you got to be able to forgive yourself and then forgive others. The cause of that harm or whatever, if that's a harm, so you have to, first of all, forgive yourself type of thing. Say, hey, listen, okay, it's past. Here I am today. Let's move on.
Has forgiveness ever been difficult for you?
No.
So that's
I guess it has been. There's been a certain occasions way back when, but I've been able to overcome that. We all have adversities, so we have great successes, we have great adversities, and and you're able to kind of, like, for example, my son passed away. It was just like, it was a shock of, I just like, how do you deal with it? And then you realize, well, if I had only spent more time, or if I had done but then you got to look at the time, where we were and what we had to do. We're one income family and all that kind of stuff. And you got to say, well, that's where you got to kind of forgive yourself, and it's just treasure the memories that you have.
Isn't it funny you talk about that? You got to forgive yourself, right? But in the end of the day, whether we're forgiving ourselves or forgiving somebody else, it's for ourselves.
That's exactly right.
But it starts with you.
Yeah.
And if you can learn how to forgive yourself, you can learn how to forgive others.
Yeah. It's when person said one day, I can't remember, I had so many of them. He said, problem, who has the problem? Problem. Just because somebody has a whole baggage of problems and wants to throw it onto you doesn't mean to say you have to accept it and carry it. Mm-hmm. Right? Type of thing. So you have to kind of just be able to say, okay, great, let go, and then you get others, the songs that emanate from all of that.
Well, that reminds me of Wake Me. I want to go to Wake Me right now.
I love that one.
Because you're talking.
Wake me up.
I'm going to ask for a performance too. I'm going to ask about that as well. Now that the album's out and you're writing, obviously you're putting some juice to it, and it's just expanding. That's such a good thing. But to go on what we were just talking about, on this podcast, many the themes have come up over time. He's performing already.
Wake me. He's going to have to.
Awareness is huge. And
awareness or reality? Both, actually.
Awareness. Both. Like, awareness is like what you just talked about when it was talking about forgiveness, for example, right? Yeah. It could also be not regretting not living in the past. It could be all these things, right? Yeah. We got to be aware of it. And many times I think you talk about this world that is going, it seems like it's going so fast. It's like a train heading as fast as it can, out of control, and and stuff's flying off the train, and here it flies. And you got to hold on. That's what the world feels like for a lot of people. And in that, there isn't a lot of stillness, and there isn't a lot of self-reflection, and there isn't a lot, like, the wake up. We need to wake up to know that we even need to forgive ourselves. There's guys that are listening to this right now that are just in the chaos of their life. Mm-hmm. They may be going through stuff. They may be going through relationship stuff or work stuff or friendship stuff, or maybe it was their behavior and they're going through the consequences of things. And now their life is that train.
Yep.
And how, when was it? Like, it feels like early on, this was something that reflective nature that you're talking about. But, like, for guys who are listening to this and hearing our conversation right now, how do they wake up? Is it just a matter of just stop and just start thinking and put the phone down and just, is it stillness? What is it? How do people wake up?
Well, it's, I've been a realist all my life, and I look at, it's just reality. What is reality? There's so much, propaganda, I guess, for the lack of better words.
Sure.
So much,
so much noise.
Yeah, exactly. And then, we're
distracting
bombarded,
Yep.
whether it's from televisions, from the cell phones, from the internet. I mean, it's just, what is reality?
Yeah.
And so the idea behind Wake Me is wake me up. I'm just like inundated, and it's sort of let's call it a critique on society. I mean, if you watch the videos, you got to go to the YouTube.
Yep.
And these music videos aren't, if you've seen them, aren't like your normal music videos where, I'm sitting there, here, I'm playing my guitar, and all the rest of it, right? But besides, I'm kind of 72, handsomeness wasn't, one of my favorites, not one of my gifts, but I got the other gifts to make up for it, right? So crack a mirror, but go to the bathroom and I'm looking at the mirror and I'm like, oh my goodness, who's that old guy?
Yeah.
I mean, that type of thing. But anyway, all kidding aside,
No.
So it's just this kind of this awareness. We got political instability,
Yep.
we got economic instability, we're buffeted this way and buffeted that way, and narratives, negative, and the negativity of these narratives, and it's just banging our society and attacking, just breaking the foundations, it seems.
And it's so easy to join that too. When you hear it, it's easy to join in with it.
Exactly. I mean, and just even the way we treat people and everything. And that's when you look at these videos. I wanted these videos on the music to reflect the message. And if you look at the videos, you'll actually see the visual message of the songs coming out. So this whole idea, wake me, pinch me, wake me up. I'm sleepy. I'm in this nightmare of, and that's where you get to see these protests and all this kind of stuff and war and da 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 da. And it's wake me up, and then the whole idea that takes you along, like wake you up into the reality. What is the reality of the situation with all the noise and all the narratives and the negative this way and that way, and truth and false? What is the truth? What is the, so here's the reality, my reality. And what is the solution? And you'll notice the song goes to the end about finding love, long lasting love. So the idea is, it's all about so many people, I think, and it's just a function of our, again, why family and everything else, is that so many people are scared. So many people are looking for love, and it's just like our society is lacking love, lacking direction, and all that kind of stuff, right?
$10.
Yeah, $10, whatever. I don't even know where that is. Oh, that's, never mind. I guess I should have turned off the phone.
It's okay.
No, they're just look at what we're talking about with the reality, the distraction, and
for sure,
else, right?
So these things. Does it take a major event to learn these things, or can you learn them vicariously?
I think you can learn them vicariously. You just have to just pay attention. And just look at what your reality and say, do I like my reality? Okay,
so the guys that are listening to this right now, like that might be the question that wakes you up. Like, okay, you're listening to this, whatever, earphones or whatever. Okay, pause. Do I like my reality?
Yeah.
And then go down the rabbit hole.
Exactly. And if you don't like your reality, well, you don't have to be there. You can change your reality and make it the reality that you want.
So many people think they can't.
Again, what are the chains that are holding you back from doing that? And then and then for everybody, there's different chains. There's different things. Okay, what's holding me back? What's preventing me from, realizing the reality that I want? This album is meant to be inspirational. It's meant to be empowering. It's meant to empower people and inspire people, right? And get people back to thinking about what is important.
Yeah.
Not only important to themselves, but also important to the society that we live in.
Yeah.
If we don't like, the society we're living in, or the climate that we're living in, or the environment, what can we do to turn around and try to change it?
Right.
And sometimes, people say, well, it's impossible. I'm only one person, and it takes, great movement started with one person.
Very much so. Very much so.
Just one person. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at some of these, people, eventually somewhere along the line, that was just one person trying to change a reality.
And it's, again, not like there isn't gifts along the way. Like, yes, like sometimes they get themselves into a mess. Getting out of the mess is just as messy for a while, but guess what? You're in the mess anyway. You're that messy anyway. And if you have to stay that messy as you're walking in the right direction, eventually the mess starts to fall off. But along the way, again, it's just like making that right decision. There is that dopamine hit. There is that, whatever you want to call it. People call it karma. People call it whatever. What goes around comes around, as you said earlier. Yeah. You made the right call. That will come around as well later. You may not see it right now, but you will get that initial hit of knowing you did the right thing.
Yeah, but sometimes you need something or somebody or a song to kind of just give you that direction. Just kind of give, oh, look at that. there's light
Yeah.
at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. And when we say, you could be in this huge mess, right? It's like, but Paul, you don't understand,
Yeah.
I said, yeah, it's like a big elephant. Yeah, it's a giant elephant. I said, so how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
I tell my clients that all the time.
Yeah.
Because the overwhelm is such a huge thing. And if you can just kind of zoom out and you can focus on that one bite at a time, it may take you 6 months, but you're gonna finish that thing.
That's
if
right.
you just focus on that next bite, the next bite. Okay, I can't. Great. But keep coming back to it. Keep coming back to it.
That's the whole idea of a plan. Even when we look at planning in the profession and so on and so forth. But this is the idea is that it's letting. I figured at 65, I said, I put this down for 40 years. Now it's time to pick it up and do it again.
So you don't have regrets, but at the end of the day, you reflect. And I know that there's, of course, if I could do it again, I would do it differently because that's what it took for me to learn what I learned, though, right? So that's the ironic butterfly effect of things, right? Like if you knew then what you know now, okay, yeah, but you'd go off in a completely different direction. You had to learn that.
Yeah.
That being said, do you wish you'd picked the guitar up earlier?
Yeah.
I feel the joy. Like the joy, I know the joy that I feel in this room is translating to everybody else. You can feel the joy that you have there. And I mean, again, coming back to it, buttoned up business guy, but also you have this outlet. Yeah. And I was going to say, like, as you were coming up, as you were paying your dues, in business and whatnot, imagine if you had that guitar for 20 minutes every single night.
Yeah. It's one of my big regrets, but it's a regret. It's like, don't look back. It's like,
that's right.
Can you imagine if?
But that's where we can teach others.
That's right.
That's where we can use that and say, hey, just so you're aware, you may forward facing think I got the great life. If I could have done anything differently, here are a couple of the things I would have done.
But it's never too late.
That's right.
So okay, if I could have been Joe Satriani or something, but I was like, but it's like, okay, I mean, it is what it is, but I picked that up and I'm going forward at this point with it and working with it. And there was a little challenge. It's like, oh yeah, I remember when I was like, that was like 40 years ago. But, I got up and got going at it. And then just, again, that's where you're eating that elephant. And when I looked at myself, and you can bring all the excuses, you can make all the reasons for not doing it. And then at the end of the day, then you would look back and say, yeah.
Great, you've justified misery. Myself. Awesome. Good job. You've
exactly. Why did I talk myself out of it?
Right.
How about talking yourself into it? That's the whole idea. And this is the idea about values and getting back to our roots, and just trying to say, hey, here's our roots. Here's where reality lives. Here's where we don't have to accept mediocrity. We don't have to accept failure.
Well, and something else that you just said too. It was a professional wrestler who was on the podcast once, and he said that people play the what if game the wrong way. They always play what if this happens, what if this, and they catastrophize things. What if we played the what if game the right way? What if me doing this leads me to the best friend I ever had because we played guitar together and that's all it is. You don't have to be playing in front of, in Rogers Arena in front of 20,000 people. The fulfillment that you get from it, like, again, I can feel it. It's an energetic thing. I can feel it off of you right now. Mm-hmm. And I only imagine if you would have had that fulfillment 25 years ago, what things would look like. But at the same time, we can't go back. But people who are listening to this can go, okay, well, wait a second. What's my version of coming out with an album? Or what's my version of picking up a guitar? What's my version of if I just did this and had no judgment on myself whatsoever, I just did it, or expectation of myself, but just did it.
Or it's just something that you've always wanted to do. It doesn't have to necessarily be music. It could be, whatever that is, that's that enjoyment or that challenge that you like to do, that reality that you want to make come true.
Yeah.
Really, our life is really up to us how we, move it forward. We either build it and move it forward, or we just let it pass us by.
Yeah.
Are
a lot of people in your life surprised?
Yeah, they're like, oh my goodness, well, you're a man of many talents, the Renaissance man, type of thing, right? And I was like, and I thank God for it and gratitude. And, and stuff like that. And God's important in my life too. And so it's you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. And it's just, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. These are all kinds of wonderful.
That's the personal development side of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the logical, really the practical,
Yeah, really it is. And nobody is a loser. Only those that don't, take advantage of what's in front of them.
Yeah.
When doors open, others, or when doors close, others open up.
Another line. Yes.
Another line out of.
That was in Don't Look Back too.
And Don't Look Back.
Yeah.
That whole song, and it's been life-changing. I've had people phone me and say, I was dealing with that. And he says, "You've changed my life. You've really changed my life." And it's like, wow, that's really neat. The song is a message of the song, changing people's lives, getting them back to their roots, getting them back to their foundations.
Yeah.
So many people don't have a foundation because they don't know what to look for.
Well, and it's funny. We talk about the unexpected consequences of doing what we want to do. When you pick the guitar up, it was completely. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, okay? But so correct me if I'm wrong. Please do. But in my mind, there is not even a flicker in your mind of when you picked up that guitar after 40 years, thinking that in doing so, somebody's going to come up to you and say, "Holy, you changed my life."
Yeah, exactly.
Not even close. Not even on your radar. But yet you got that fulfillment in the moment, and then it's ballooned and ballooned and ballooned. Now you have people coming back. I get the same thing with this show. Like, I'm enjoying this so much right now. Like I'm just talking about being in the flow state right now, being in the stream of consciousness right now. Paul, I'm so enjoying talking to you right now.
Thank you very much.
This is again, hosting the show. I'm the one who benefits the most because I get to hear everything, right?
It's doing what you love.
Yes.
Think about it. Doing what you love.
There you go.
Yeah.
And 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, because it happens a lot. People will say, "Oh my goodness!" Like I lost my dad this year, and my dad was on the show a couple of times, and so because of that, people have gone back and they've watched and they've come up to me and they've said, "I was so touched by the conversation you had with your dad. It actually changed my life, and it changed the trajectory with my family." Okay, when I had my conversation with my dad, when he was sitting right where you're sitting, and I'm here, wasn't even a flicker of that somebody would ever come to me and say, "Oh, that helped change my family's life." That's the stuff that comes afterwards, the bonus stuff that you don't even think about.
Right.
That comes. These are these doors. Like I think you and I are right now showing the example of the doors that end up opening that you don't even think about that could happen when we're in harmony. We're moving in that direction. We're moving in the direction of our heart's desire, our true heart's desire.
Yeah. And then there's that fulfillment aspect. They call it psychic income or whatever. I was just thinking, reflecting as you're speaking there.
What did you call it? Psychic? What is it?
It's psychic income.
A psychic income.
But how you've changed somebody's life or you've improved it in our profession, for example, when you really see the big differences that you've made in people's lives. I've had people with tears of joy and all that kind of stuff. That is indescribable. It's not necessarily the money. We do well, but that is where the rubber meets the pavement, and that's when you have that fulfillment and that aspect of that legacy and that aspect that you're leaving. We're on a journey, folks. We're on a journey, from birth. Trouble is, it takes so long to try to figure it out, through life. I always say, hey, if I could only get a reprieve, say, hey, listen, keep what you have and learned and go back 30 years. Whoa, what we could do, And, it's a good story. Yeah, I lost my wife and stuff like that. And so I've had to deal with the death of a spouse and a child, and stuff like that. But, I remarried again, within a year, as a wonderful, lady, and just absolutely amazing. So
and is it she sings on the album?
Actually, she's going to be singing on the second album.
On the second album, okay.
This one was done, but she's South Korean.
Yep.
And
where'd you meet her?
Actually, it was kind of interesting. I met her through an introduction from people at the church, and I was helping her with her English, and then the next thing, things just got
lines get crossed.
Yeah, I found out all kinds of things about her. I mean, she's really, really quite accomplished herself. Yeah, so we're having great fun, and but I wrote a song called Korean Love. And so she's singing the Korean, parts of it, taking a traditional songs about, I don't know, I think it's a couple 100 years old, 300, called Arirang, and it's when the Japanese occupied Korea for many years, they weren't allowed to sing the national anthem. So Arirang was this love song that they kind of adopted. It's the unofficial national anthem. So I took a segment of that and I've written, the English verses and everything, and about how these lovers or these couples far apart and they finally come together and all that kind of stuff. And so she sings, we have the Korean, she comes in with that, and we both leave with the Korean, Arirang, arirang, arario. It's a very beautiful, nice song, and it's wow, this is going to be, awesome. Like I says, this is a great album. You guys got to get it. But go on my YouTube, subscribe.
Okay, so let's do that. What's the website? Paul. What's the website? Paul Lauzon.
www.paullauzonmusic.com.
paullauzonmusic.com.
Yeah. But it's just this next one that's coming out it's filled with some really nifty. I'm really moving the boundaries on the musical boundaries, and it's just some of the stuff that's coming in there is just absolutely. And it's like I notice when I listen to them, and I'm sorry I'm taking over, but
no, please.
And
you're the guest.
The album is 43 minutes, right? Yep. Did you notice that it was 43 minutes, or did you just like
it went by like that? That was one of my
wow.
my impressions, was that it went by like that.
It's like it's over already.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
That's why you could turn around, flip
but
it
every
over,
song had its own individual. Like it was funny because every song had its own individual. You knew what was happening in it. Like again, that's the thing about roots music or folk music or whatever. Yeah. Like they've got messages to them. Yeah. But yes, it goes by very quickly.
And the impact. I get people saying, "Man, Paul, the music great, but the impact, reverse Robin Hood."
Well, that was the last one.
There's another one, and that's what that
was where Business Paul came out. I love it. A little bit of commentary as to where things are at right now.
And the idea, come play with me, so you notice that these are really nice, get you really into the swing. You could dance to some of this, come play with me,
Reverse Robin Hood, though, is that the closest thing that you would do to like a protest song?
No, I actually reverse Robin Hood. What is the story of Robin Hood, right? Yeah. Robin Hood took from the rich to give to the poor.
Yep.
Reverse Robin Hood takes from the poor to give to the rich.
Yep.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
So it's a very sarcastic, it's tongue in cheek, that's why it has a funny thing at the end, but it's a tongue in cheek about, con men and anybody that's dishonest and cheating people. Yep. And, and so it's just kind of tongue in cheek about honesty and do we chase the almighty dollar and we don't care what we do to others in order to get it?
Yeah.
And so it has that really kind of neat, and I think we've all met people who are, be kind, less than honest. Some of us have been really.
Oh, many of us have got, like, I'll say it, they've got screwed over.
Yeah.
Many people have gotten, and that creates cynicism.
Yeah.
And it creates.
And you wonder what happened. How come these people seem to get away with it or whatever,
Yep.
And, whether it's, lying and cheating, and whether it's in business, whether it's, politicians, for example, we promise you the world and, they promise you an orchard. Give me an apple, I'll promise you an orchard, and you're lucky to get the seeds back.
Absolutely.
Type of thing, right? It's like,
or we'll sell you a glass of juice.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it. So it's this tongue in cheek, but I'm covering all. I mean, there's no sacred cows, type of thing. In this pursuit of getting us back to a foundation that built our democracy, built our freedoms, built, our Canada. My wife, she says, well, Canada is, supposed to be this great, place. Yeah. Well, what gave us that reputation?
That's right.
It's how we treat people.
That's right.
How we treat our fellow man, our fellow beings, and when we're, now we use plastic to buy groceries, but, when the older days, how many people, they get the wrong change and say, oh, by the way, you gave me too much here,
yes.
And that's what I mean, not having to be prompted or whatever, as
just doing
opposed to
the right
say,
thing.
oh, I stiffed him a couple bucks. No, it's what is your integrity? What is your heart? And at the end of the day, that gives you your inner compass, that gives you that inner strength.
Yeah.
To, and this, it says, I used to, in all my seminars, I would say, your actions speak so loud, I can't hear a word you're saying.
I think I've heard you say that before.
I have.
Holy smokes. I think I've actually been in a room when you've said that before.
Yeah. Our actions speak so loud, I can't hear a word you're saying. Now, if you were to even take that as a mantra, it's like, just how much of a change in your life could that be? And, and what you send out,
everything
comes back tenfold,
That's right.
So it's like, wow,
And you're living proof of that. What you send out comes back tenfold. You're proof of that. Like you're saying this at 72, and it feels, again, like you say, like you're just getting started.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate so much, and it gives like hope and inspiration, both of those things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what you put out there comes back tenfold. You can say that as a result of your life. You can look back and you can actually say that with integrity
and conviction.
Yeah. What you put out there comes back tenfold.
Yeah. And it's amazing. And where are we getting this guidance? Where are we getting this, somebody saying, hey, look, you can be your own reality. You can be your own success. You can be, it's how you focus.
Yes.
We live in a negative society.
Yeah.
It's time to turn around and say, hey, I'm living in this negative society, and it really sucks. I don't really like it.
How's that working out for you?
Yeah, exactly. So what are you going to do about it? Well, I'll change it. Great. That's what we're talking about. But here, I'll give you some inspiration and some music, and give you that nice beat. Oh yeah, music.
It is.
And
it is. It's an instruction manual. There's a lot of instruction manual for life stuff in the album. By the way, Reverse Robin Hood. Before we leave that completely, I got to tell you my first impression. Do you know who Warren Zevon is or was?
No.
Singer songwriter. And Warren Zevon was a little impish in some of his songs, but it had Reverse Robin Hood had a massive Warren Zevon vibe to me, and I just coming from me, so you know, that's an extreme compliment. So just
thank you.
Letting you know, like it did have that, but again, is it the closest thing to a protest song? I think maybe it is.
Well, it's just a commentary again, just a reflection, a mirror on our social mores. How we're heading down the path. I'm concerned for our Canadian
Me too.
values and everything. We're heading in a path that's not very good.
Me too.
And we don't have leadership.
Yeah.
Where do we have leadership? We don't have leadership. Well, we don't have leadership, folks. I'm going to be a leader, a thought leader, an inspiration leader to help us, try to get back to where we are, our roots that made Canada what it is, and what its reputation is before it slides too far.
Yeah.
But when you talk about singer-songwriters, I know one very well. Paul Lauzon, he's a gregreat singer-songwriter.
Paul Lauzon, he's awesome.
There you go.
He's awesome.
I know that guy very well.
I want to get into just because the how you did it. The songs start coming to you. I mean, we've shown it real time, how they just come to you. You get the guitar out. You actually don't ignore the muse. I mean, how many times when we're inspired by something, right, do we just let the idea go?
Yeah.
And then we see that idea pop out somewhere else, in another way, right? As opposed to when the idea hits you, you grab the notepad out, you get the phone out with the note, you put in, you mark it, and you start to do something for it. Clearly,
I wish I did that more often.
There it is. Yeah, and I mean, how many inspired ideas have just gone by us because we were too busy looking down. So that happens. You write stuff down, you get the guitar out, you start, doing the first parts of it. But then, I mean, when you listen to the album, the musicality and the musicianship, the background singers, all of that stuff, how did you move it to that place? Like, who are the other people that play on the album? Because they're tight, man.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I had some bad experiences because music wasn't my main, so I've had to learn. So yeah, I've had some really interesting experiences, but it's amazing. You got to have some of these mistakes to actually, find some great people. When you have great people, even if it means trying to herd them like cats.
Are they local? Or are they?
A lot
Are
of
they
them are local.
Wow.
But we have some out of Vancouver as well,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so an organization here, LMS, records, and Mike Shell's group. I mean, they're behind the Elton John tributes and everything.
Yep.
And so it was kind of funny. I just happened to be searching for a new studio because the other one was a kind of one of those horror stories, and I fell into that one. And then I got a phone call here, there, and it was just meant to be. It just brought us together, and the lady that sings with me, she was I wanted to get my singing this instrument really going. So I spent 4 years, whatever, in vocal lessons with her, and she sings. She was a jazz singer for 20 years. And so Amanda, she sings with me, and we're going to be doing some, and she's my main background vocals. But
it's not Amanda Morrison, is it?
And Amanda Morrison.
It is.
Exactly.
Amanda Morrison. I adore her.
I mean, she's a lovely person.
Yep, she's fantastic.
And a good friend of mine. And I'm very, very blessed and fortunate to have her work with me. And she does great work. I mean, she's just a phenomenal mentor as well. And supporter. And then I got Dustin McGifford with Morals Music. And I mean, just a tremendous talent. And we're working, together, and
So okay, you take these songs that are personal.
Yep.
They're yourself. They're you bearing your soul, and then you add an element, a dimension, and that's collaboration. So you start collaborating on
great
these
things come when you have a team effort, and so we work together and I kind of direct how, because I know what I need to have come out and everything else. And we work together, and Amanda helps me. We're going to have some meetings on 6 of the songs for the next album on the background vocals and developing them. And then we bring the others in, and then it's all, and this is not digital music. Mm-hmm. The music is real music. It's it's all for real. They play.
I'm glad you noted that. Yeah.
And it's and that sound, you can tell the sound and the difference in the quality is just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm really, really thankful for the people I have, with Scotty on the drums and Mike Fick on the bass, and they're all listed in there. But and Joel Day, of course, he's just phenomenal.
Our boy Joel,
your boy.
Shout out to Joel.
Is working
partner, and HeChangedIt. Shout out to Joel. Joel's amazing.
Yeah, and so what we're doing is I bring this collaboration. I bring the raw material and everything, and we sit down and we work it, and I say, okay, it is funny because I say, well, let's try a little bit of a clarinet here or a trumpet here, or whatever, and then when we get it, it's this magic. But it's we'll get it to great, but I want it more than great. It's got to be atmospheric. It's got to be right up there.
Well, it's a progression too, because again, you go from the first time, whether you're in Georgia Bay and you're inspired, and so quick, get the travel guitar out. I don't want to lose it. Right, you start, and then you start widening the circle. It doesn't sound like again, you talked about leadership earlier. And again, I know you by reputation and whatnot. So when you start collaborating with musicians, it doesn't sound like you're taking over things. And it doesn't sound like that's your leadership style anyway. It sounds like you are a collaborator when it comes to
empowering others and collaborating, and it's
empowering others. You want to empower. Have you always wanted to empower others?
Always empower others, make them better than what they are and who they are. And, and it's like, park your ego at the door, because we're here to create a great piece for everyone.
Okay, so you're 72. I imagine that you were what, 70, 71 when you were recording the album, or it's fairly recent.
Well, yeah, we've been at it for 3 years.
3 years. Okay. So when you talk about checking your ego at the door, because many times, and again, I think about because you were, when this collaboration happened, you were Paul, you were that guy that has all this success and whatnot. Yeah. Was it difficult to check your ego at the door, and now you enter a room where you're not the smartest guy in the room or one of the smartest guys in the room? You're working with musicians who are more experienced, more quote unquote talented, they have more experience is what it is.
Oh, they're talented. I mean, there's no question.
So talented, so talented. You get into that room, and you're used to being kind of the smart guy in the room.
Yeah.
Was that difficult for you?
No, because I have I have a team of very highly professionals around me as well.
Yep.
So it's just recognizing what can they bring to the table to make it better.
Right.
So I look at the project. Here it's the song. It's all about the song. The song is the one that's the boss.
Right.
And I direct. I'm the manager for the song.
Yeah.
Also the writer and all the rest.
Sure. You have a vision, and you've got guiding things or whatever, right?
And so you got the vision, and you're kind of guiding, and it's okay, guys. Here's what we're looking at. What can we do to get this collaboration? And it's just allowing them to be themselves and to be their talent that they are. Say, listen, I'm not going to bring your talent forward. Come on, let's all contribute. Here's the basic, the stew, if you will. So someone says, well, if we had a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Say, okay, not quite, but I think we're getting there. So you just make a little, and next thing you know, when it comes, it's just like, there it is. It's just magic. It's like, wow.
And you got out of your own way so you could experience that magic.
Right on.
And the people who don't, they miss it.
Exactly.
They hold on too tight, and then everything falls out, right?
That's right. So it's a collaboration. It's a love.
Yeah.
It's a collective love of the music and of the song that we can then move out and spread that love to everyone. I'd love to have this just music go everywhere, type of thing, because there's so many people in our society that need to listen to this message, and listen to these words. It's just because they need that empowerment, they need that support emotionally, and even mentally. Yeah. And there's people who say, wow, the stories are amazing that are coming back. Is what this is. There's quite a few actually coming on board and listening to this and going and saying, wow, this is amazing stuff.
So I have a challenge to people out there who might be in a bad mood. I don't care what genre you like, because I'm a big music fan, and I love all genres. Like I love all genres, like all of them, for the most part. I defy anybody out there to, if you're in a bad mood, I don't care what kind of genre music you like, just pass whatever. If you're a super country fan, if you're a super electronic fan, if you're a super whatever, doesn't matter. If you're in a bad mood, put on It's About Life by Paul Lauzon. You put it on, and I just want to ask, after that 43 minutes, see if you're in as bad of a mood as you were.
Yeah.
Just see, because it is so, it's diluted. The truth is of the messages of each song is diluted to be so, it's so blunt. It's really not. Okay, yeah, I thought maybe he was in the Shuswap instead of Georgian Bay, but no. Listening, watching the boats go by and whatnot, I could feel myself in a happy place. One of my happy places is Shuswap. That's why that song transported me to. It made me think about a happy place for me,
and that's perfect.
And that's that one song. Never mind the other ones. And again, Don't Look Back. I think Don't Look Back is one of those things where every guy, kind of once a week, should listen to that song, just for, you're not into journaling, okay? You're not into some of the personal development things that'll help get you where you want to. How about listening to a song? Listen to that song and actually take the lyrics and put them inside and see if you have a little bit better of a week or a little bit better of an insight on it. It is really that. So if I could say that, from my impression of the music, and even please take that.
Even if you're in a good mood, play it.
Well, sure.
You might even be in a better mood.
Sure. Yeah.
But I dance. Dance to it.
So you're bringing it up now. You've got The Elements Are Growing, second album, all this sort of stuff. Performing. Do you want to perform it live? Have you performed it live? Are you?
But I love it. So you keep working. Man,
you love that aspect. You enjoy that aspect.
It's a little, but if fortune favors the brave, right? Now I've spoken in front of audiences of 150, 200 on tax matters and all kinds of stuff like that.
But this is a different deal.
Yeah, but it's like, it's really putting yourself out singing, and trying to do all that kind of stuff. But no, I think it would be great, and then there's the poetry, as well.
Well, okay, we hardly even got that. So PaulLauzonmusic.com, and it's in the description, everybody. It's in the description and all that sort of stuff. So don't worry about that. But PaulLauzonmusic.com has videos of your poetry as well.
That's right. Yeah.
It's not just that, and that's something that goes back. Like was it in the 90s? You were doing that?
Well, actually, when I was at university, with my guitar and stuff like that, I used to. It just started kind of like it was something even farther back, but I just started working with it. So I wrote a book of 75 poems, 80 poems, 15 of them were been published in the anthology, American Poetry Association's anthologies in in the 80s, 88, 89, 90, when I was younger.
Yep.
And I was sending them that way, and I got a bunch. And so we're starting with those ones.
Yep.
And but again, you almost could see if you look at those, and there's a message in each of those poems that really have an impact message.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see that flavor, when you look at It's About Life, and you can look back even that many years ago, in the poetry, and you can see that it's like roots poetry, but it has that, really impactful, message, whether it's the voyage, or, dance, just this aspect of feeling, this paper and ink, it's about, paper and ink, and how the creature of the deep, now they use chemicals nowadays, but in the old days, they used to use octopus.
Yep.
And that kind of, so the idea, so what's with this paper and ink, the tree and the octopus both gave their lives so that you may think. Now, when you have that's that kind of impact.
That's that ponderance. That's that reflection. That's what we're talking about
here.
Like, yeah.
Wow. And people get this wow. I love it when people get this wow moment. It's like, wow.
The aha moment.
Aha moment.
That's one of my favorite things about financial services. People ask me why. Like, I love. This is what I love. It's not so much the numbers. It certainly isn't the paperwork. It isn't any of that stuff. This is what I love.
Yeah.
And that you talked about the moments with the tears and all that sort of stuff. But the aha moment.
The aha
when I show
amazing,
somebody like Rule of 72 or something like that, and suddenly they go, and they feel empowered. That's what I love about that profession. That's what it is. Like all the other stuff is like, okay, great, but that's the thing that I love, which is why I think I love podcasting so much. I love the conversation, and I love these things that come out when people are that vulnerable. That's the thing that strikes me about you, Paul. I got to tell you, when I meet business people of your caliber, many times, vulnerability is not the first, not the second, not the third. It's near the last trait that you'd ever see from these people. Your vulnerability is astounding to me, and I'm really grateful that you have taken the things that you've learned in your life, and you've taken them and forged them into this art that is clearly so fulfilling. But I think also when we have this like interactions like this, I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate success leaves clues, and that is a huge one.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Have you always been vulnerable? Or is that something that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, just, I guess it's just something you learn along the way. But let me ask you, when you talk about the aha moment,
yes,
you're dealing with people,
yes,
and you get this aha moment,
yes,
it gives you twice the aha moment yourself.
100%.
Because when you see the people having an aha moment, how does that come back?
It's the best.
You got an aha moment.
It's the best.
Your aha moment is the fact that they have an aha moment. Correct.
One of my heroes is David Letterman. Like, I'm the host of the Letterman podcast. That's what the set over there is for the Letterman podcast, right? And Dave is a very generous. I wouldn't call him a philanthropist, only because it would embarrass him. He wouldn't want to be. He's very generous, and for the right reasons too.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten so many stories from people who I can't even repeat. But talking about the generosity of it. And one time he was asked about, or maybe it was a couple times, he was asked about his generosity, and he just kind of pushes it aside. He goes, "Oh, it's a selfish pursuit." Like, he's so, you talk about being a realist, like he's so hardcore real about it. He's like, "Oh no, it's selfish. Being generous is selfish because of what you just said." No. The feeling you get when you give to somebody, or you empower them, or you make them feel you give them an aha moment, it feels so good getting it back that it's generosity is so selfish. It's so that's the yin yang of everything. It actually is so good that it could be, under a very skewed perspective, looked on as selfish. Yeah. That's how good it feels.
And isn't it better to have an attitude of gratitude?
Oh,
I mean, we have, I this and that, and say, well, what can you reflect on that you can have gratitude for? That day that you have, this day, what could you be showing gratitude for what you've got for this day? There's a blessing in each and every day. There's a little miracle in each and every day. If we but just kind of, and that's the whole idea, bring me back, wake me up, bring me back, let me look at the reality, and let me look at where I'm at, and appreciate, like right now, miserable weather, but today we got nice sunshine. It felt like spring out there.
Yeah.
Attitude of gratitude, is a really good. a song about that attitude of gratitude.
You find it, and everyone can. Like, no matter what situation you're in right now, you can find. You got to maybe have to dig deep. It might have to be something, but anybody can find gratitude. Gratitude can be a discipline that will give momentum to moving forward. Gratitude is it's a silver bullet.
Yeah, but it's an attitude.
It is, and we have. It's one of the few things that we have control over is our attitude.
Exactly.
We can change our attitude if we choose to.
Mm-hmm.
And we can move in a different direction if we choose to. Again, and it comes from these things. I could do this all day with you. At the end of the day, it's about life. It's about life, and that's really at the end of the day. I don't know if it could have been titled any better, Paul. Like it's so on the nose, and so many of the songs are so on the nose. Thank you for putting this out into the world. And you can get it on Apple Music. You can get it on Spotify. PaulLauzonmusic.com is the website, and that's where all the extras are, all the goodies, all the poetry, and all that other stuff.
Yeah. And you can buy the CDs locally too.
And it's actually got a CD pressing. It's not just digital. For those of you who are classic out there, and you can order those I assume you can order those on the website as well.
Not quite, but
not quite.
But we have a Loaves and Fishes in town here has available.
Okay, so it's local.
Local,
and wider distribution to come.
Yeah, and just ask us, and we'll let you know where you could actually pick them up. And you can get them from us.
Contact from the website. People can contact in. PaulLauzonmusic.com. I can't thank you enough for being here today. This has been a big thrill for me, and thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for being an inspiration. That as we all are starting to get longer in the tooth, it does not mean that we have to stop. It feels like life is just getting bigger and more fulfilling for you. And I just want to say thank you very much for being that example for everybody, Paul.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is why we do the show. It's conversations like this. Hopefully anybody out there who hears this conversation, wherever you're at right now, hopefully after this conversation, you might realize that you can get to a better spot. Things can get better. And maybe you are the light in someone else's life. Because when we encourage others, that gets contagious as well, paying it forward, whatever you want to call it. And it happens on a logical level here, but also there's that energetic or spiritual, whatever the stuff that we don't necessarily understand, there's that stuff too. So this has been a phenomenal example of that. Can't thank you enough. If you haven't downloaded the HeChangedIt app yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Go to HeChangedIt.com for all the information. This has been another episode of heCast, the official podcast of HeChangedIt. My name is Mike Chisholm. Go change something.